It is currently 7:30 and I just got to the office. Gonna pack orders for a few hours and maybe some subscriptions as well. We will see. I was gonna do kind of like a chatting video where I answer questions while I'm packing orders in real time. It seems like there are painters outside. I don't know if you can hear the noise. Okay, let's get started. Thank you to everyone who submitted questions. Usually I just make a post in the community tab on my channel. So I'm gonna start with business questions. I will answer 5 and then I will move on to the next category, answer 5, and then circle back if there's more time. Okay, starting with business. What is one thing you wish your past self would have known or you wish you could tell your past self when starting your business? There are a lot of things I wish I did, but something that is relevant to me now is I wish I kept my files more organized and also just like kept my files, period. Because a lot of the art files from when I was 15 or 16, I can no longer find, and I think that is really a shame. So yeah, I wish I kept everything because you never know when you're gonna need it again, even if it's like 8 years later. What are your thoughts about other businesses that are selling products very similar to yours? This is a very interesting topic. I will say I used to let things like this affect me a lot, especially when I was starting out, when I was 15, 16, 17 years old. And I think it's because my worldview was very narrow back then. And so when I saw like another business imitating my work, I would literally think like, oh my God, I'm going to lose all of my customers, my business is going to fail, and then I'm going to starve. Like that was literally my line of thinking. But now that I have gotten a little bit older and I have seen proof that I am in fact doing okay, my philosophy is more like, I am going to focus on my own thing. Everything I put out comes from my brain, and if some other store sells a similar thing that is most likely a copy, they will either not sell it as well because it's not the original, or they will sell it better than me, which in that case, clearly they did something better than me, so I have room for self-improvement. So that is the philosophy that I try to hold to ensure that like my mental health isn't damaged as much. I think many other artists can relate to a similar sentiment. Like that popular saying, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. I think that's what it is. It is true to some extent, but I really do not like that phrase, especially if it's used to write off someone's devastation and feelings. So in short, the artist side of me does still get very hurt when I see copied work, but nowadays I do have a more removed view as well. The outcome is that either they don't sell things as well because it is a copy, or they sell things better, but that just means that I can improve on something. Hopefully that made sense. Okay, hi Helen, will there be an advent calendar this year? Unfortunately not. I've done 2 advents before, and the last one that I did I think was in 2022. And I haven't done one since. One reason is I just really haven't found the inspiration. Another reason is with anything mystery, I get very stressed because I want to obviously ensure that my customers who are purchasing the items aren't disappointed. Especially again with mystery items, it's hard to tell. And a third reason is I don't know, I feel like I've just been working on so many other projects for the store. I just really haven't had the time to devote to an advent calendar. But never say never. If you are interested in maybe like a smaller advent for next year, let me know. Maybe I'll consider working on that. What are my takeaways from the Stationery Fest? Would I do it again? And do I prefer the format of the Florida one, which was more like a meet and greet, or the kind of marketplace style of Stationery Fest? Okay, quickly. My takeaway from Stationery Fest was, in the future, I would like to have one person helping me with payments and one person helping me with selling/packaging. And so this way I can also sell and package, but it leaves me more time to spend with each person who stops by, and I can also go on breaks. I felt very bad because I know a lot of people went out of their way to attend Stationery Fest just to see me. I'm not delusional. I know that there were a lot of brands and amazing vendors, so I know that people didn't go just for me. But I do know there are a few people who kind of pulled the trigger just because I don't often, especially go to the United States. So anyways, in general, I just felt really bad that I couldn't chat with everyone one-on-one for extended periods of time. So yes, I would like at least 2 helpers in the future. Would I do it again? I'm not sure. I had an amazing time, an absolutely amazing time. But being real with you, it took me about a month and a half to mentally and physically recover, which I know sounds really ridiculous because, like with vacations and trips, typically it's pretty normal to have like 2 or 3 days where you might need to adjust to the time change and all of that. But I think a month and a half is out of the ordinary, and I actually still don't know why this happened to me. So definitely I will be going to more events in the future because, again, I had an amazing time, but I just need to be a little bit more selective and also be more mindful of my mental and physical state. And then as for the format of the Orlando event that I went to last year versus this one, I don't think I can compare because in Orlando, they also had a vendor marketplace and I wasn't a vendor there. So I was definitely a lot more relaxed and just like enjoying seeing other creators present themselves. Whereas in New York, I was the creator presenting myself. So it's kind of hard to compare. What plans do you have for your business next year? Things like expanding, hiring more people, collabs. Do you ever consider working with retailers and having your beautiful products in physical shops? Thank you so much. Plans for next year. I do have some important announcements that I have to make towards the end of this year, so I won't talk about that. We are definitely looking to hire, I think, 2 more packers, especially during the busier holiday seasons. And as for collabs, it's funny that you asked because I do have one incredibly exciting collab. I mean, I guess I wouldn't do any collabs if it wasn't exciting, but yeah, I will just say you can expect at least one collaboration that has been finalized for 2025, and I think a lot of you will be over the moon. So yeah, I will leave it at that. As for the physical shops, I already do. I have, I think, 4 vendors who have like brick and mortar stores. I will put it on the screen, and I am in the process of speaking with a few others, but nothing so far has been finalized. So yeah, definitely something on my radar. Okay, I will answer some life questions. Do you have an actual vacation planned for the rest of the year? Not for 2024, but I will be going back to China in February of 2025, which I am so excited about. I haven't been back to China in over a decade, I think, and it is going to be for a wedding. So yeah, very excited. Hi Helen, I'm curious as to how you get so many steps in each day. So my step count is kind of ridiculous and I don't think it's normal, but the reason why it is so high is I typically walk while I reply to emails, and so the hours just pass by and the steps rack up. I am also a runner, so I usually run several times a week, and that adds to it. And even though I have my driver's license, I don't drive. I walk everywhere for my errands. So yeah, I think those three main factors contribute to my step count. Hi Helen, I hope it's not too personal to ask about your ADHD diagnosis. From your videos, it sounded like you had a late diagnosis in your early 20s. May I know what made you brought it up with your doctor and what my symptoms were? And then I also had a different ADHD question. I get stuck in the freeze zone a lot. How do I handle such days where I feel like I want to procrastinate? Okay, so yes, I did get my ADHD diagnosis pretty recently, and I'm in my early 20s. Bluntly, I don't have a doctor. I should really get a family doctor, but it's kind of funny. If you have ADHD, you might relate, but I have been putting off the paperwork for months. What did I do? I think I went through like a walk-in clinic, which then got me referred to someone, and then that person referred me to someone who did a screening for me. I think that was a process. I can't recall exactly anymore. As for the symptoms, it's not that it's taboo or anything, it's just a little bit more personal, so I don't want to talk about it. But I will say, like, I've always felt a little off and almost like an alien my entire life. And I've always just kind of scraped by, and I thought life was just this way. But I think in 2023, there were several traumatic things that happened that really put a lot of stress on me. And because I was already kind of stretched thin, with the added stress, I just couldn't cope. And the symptoms that used to be just manageable became almost unbearable. So I basically waited until I couldn't really handle it anymore before seeking help. Even if your symptoms are subtle, I think you should bring it up, because it is so much easier to prevent like a downward spiral versus crawling out of it. And then as for the freeze zone question and procrastination, I definitely experienced this, but there are two roads that I tend to follow. The first is if I really need to actually hone in and get things done, my ADHD to-do list system has been really helping me, and I have talked about it recently in my previous video and also my August planner update. For me, I need to put on headphones. Even if I'm not listening to anything, I have to have a sensation of my headset wrapped around my head. I don't know if this will help anyone else. And then the other thing is kind of counterintuitive, but sometimes I just need a few hours to not do anything. I need to let my brain just like cool down a little bit, so I'm not thinking of 5 million things at the same time. That is a luxury though, and I can't always do that. Like, obviously if I have a paper due the next day, I can't do nothing for 5 hours and reset my brain. I have to actually work on it. But yeah, sometimes I will just like leave my phone and everything at home, and I will go on a walk around the neighborhood, and then my brain just like quiets down a little bit and I'm able to focus a lot more. Any knitting projects coming up? I'm still working on my lace camisole. Obviously summer is now over, but I am determined to finish it. Top 5 songs from the Torture Pose department. I will put it on the screen. What is your favorite autumnal thing to watch this time of year? Usually Gilmore Girls. It's very cozy. What music do you listen to when running? I do have my Spotify playlist, and the running one is called Running for My Life. And it's a mix of remixes, pop, and some hip hop. Okay, moving on to the third category, which is stationery questions. I'm thinking of using the Hobonichi Cousin next year, but I'm not sure how well I like the different colored months. Okay, I know exactly what you mean. The Hobonichi colors are, they're okay, but obviously like if it's like a dark red and you want to do a light floral spread, it might not match very well. And I don't think this answer will be of any help, but honestly, I just embrace it as an imperfection almost. Obviously, it's not an imperfection, but if I try to make everything matching and perfect and aesthetically pleasing, as soon as something doesn't align, then I will lose the motivation. So if my baseline is I expect a little bit of messiness, a little bit of mismatch and empty space, then there really is no perfection to uphold. So hopefully this mindset kind of helps you, but my basic answer is I just accept it for what it is. I was wondering which fountain pen you use more frequently, the Leonardo Momento Magico or the Pilot Vanishing Point. I use the Leonardo more, and this is because the filling mechanism is much better, in my opinion, compared to the Pilot Vanishing Point. It holds a lot more ink, it does a full fill every time, and there's also an ink window which allows you to see when you are running low on ink. With the Pilot Vanishing Point, I don't feel comfortable often writing with it outside because I never know when it's going to run out of ink, and their cartridge is infamous for not being the best. There are a lot of tricks you can use to like using a syringe to fill it and stuff. I honestly I have been too lazy to look into that. So yeah, I love my Pilot Vanishing Point, but I really only use it at home when I can fill up my pen whenever. I'm curious if you prefer fountain pens or gel pens. I prefer fountain pens. Apart from the whole writing experience and all of the prettiness and inks and stuff, I write and draw a lot. So with gel pens, I get hand cramps very easily and I cannot write more than a paragraph with the gel pen. Before I go, I'm gonna pack some Q4 subscriptions. This is the Washi Wizards. This is a classic bookshelf, the manuscript, and this is like a typewriter 1-inch perforated washi. I forgot the official name that I gave it. And then every shipment will receive an extra Book Nerds 1.0 washi tape. And then this is the card. It's like a bunch of classic books. Cute. Okay, I only have 2 minutes left. What is your favorite fountain pen to take with you on the go? I usually bring my TWSBI Eco because it is a very solid and reliable pen, and it is also really affordable, so I don't feel as bad if I end up losing it or banging it around. I definitely still take care of it, but you know what I mean. How do you feel about the new paper in the Hobonichi? Have you noticed a difference? I have not written in the 2025 Hobonichis yet, but as for the new Tomoe River S paper, I actually don't mind it at all, and I might even prefer it over the old one. It did take about 2 weeks for me to adjust when I first got it. Just with anything, if you use it for several years straight and then it suddenly changes, it's gonna be uncomfortable and that might confound your opinions. Now that it has been a year, I actually really do love it. If you didn't have the success of TCMC, what would my career be? I think either engineering or economics, because I love math, but being completely realistic, I don't think I am sharp enough for pure math. It's a lot of abstraction, which I don't think I'm very good at. So yeah, something in applied math. How has the office space been? It has been wonderful. I truly struck gold with my office space. It is very spacious, but it's just not too big. It's not too small. It is perfect. I cannot even imagine how we managed before the office. I noticed that you tried so many new things in the past year, and I'm so proud of you. Thank you. I'm currently struggling with stress and anxiety. How do you handle your stress with running a full-time business? So I think everyone knows the general advice. You should take a step back. You should learn healthy coping mechanisms. You should do self-care and take it easy on yourself, blah, blah, blah. I think everyone knows that. At least for me in daily life, it is very hard to actually implement those things. So a few things that genuinely have made a difference for me is, number one, I have to exercise every day. It is not for aesthetic reasons. I'm not qualified to speak on the science behind it, but I do know that there are things like endorphins and such when you run, lift, etc. So there are chemical benefits. It is 1 hour a day that I have to myself disconnected from social media, which is another boost in my mental health. And genuinely, when I exert myself through exercise, I feel anxiety leaving my body. Obviously, it is not like a solution to actual anxiety, but it is one way that I cope. The other practical thing that I do is at several points during the day, I will take a true deep breath. And yeah, taking a deep breath is not going to get rid of your anxiety, but it just really relieves something in me. I can't really explain it. And it just puts me in a slightly better mental state to handle whatever stressor is coming out at me. Again, I want to emphasize, if you can take a break, if you can look after yourself and do some self-care, that is absolutely what you should do. But I'm just going to assume that everyone knows that you should be okay with taking breaks. And these are just some of my strategies for when I actually have to get something done and I don't have time to take a step back. Okay, I'm so sorry. I couldn't get to all of the questions. I have like 30 something else. I will hopefully do more Q&As in the future if you find this interesting. But otherwise, for now, thank you so much for watching and for all of your questions. And have a great day. Bye!